The bow and arrow symbol is one of the most deeply entrenched political symbols in Maharashtra politics. It carries immense symbolic and political importance. Now that the Eknath Shinde Sena will have, unless the Supreme Court rules otherwise, the right to carry the bow and arrow symbol into the battlefield of the BMC and in the 2024 elections, to what extent could it change voter behavior? Remember, voters typically know the panja, the hand, they know the kamal, which is the BJP symbol, they know the jhadu, the AAP symbol, and so on. And therefore, if it's in their mind very deeply entrenched that the bow and arrow is the symbol that they've backed for years, if not for decades, could that change voter behavior, and if so, to what extent? To talk about this and more, I'm joined on this broadcast by Priyanka Chaturvedi, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament. She is a spokesperson of the Uddhav Thackeray Sena, whose status now is in jeopardy. We've got Rajdeep Sardesai, who understands the ins and outs of Maharashtra politics better than anyone else does. Sahil Joshi heads up Maharashtra Bureau. We've got Yashwant Deshmukh, the lead cephalogist at Sea Voter, and O.P. Rawat is the former Chief Election Commissioner of India. Shalini Shweta is the spokesperson of the BJP. I just want to go across and on that screen show our viewers what the Mood of the Nation done by Sea Voter for India today said about Maharashtra. Now, according to Sea Voter, in the 2024 elections, according to the MOTN that we put out in January, the Maha Vikas Aghadi could get 34 seats. Last time the Congress NCP had 6. Now that, if it were to happen, is a big potential gain, which is when the calculation was made before the order of the Election Commission. Now if I were to look at vote share, between the last few months, the vote share of the Maha Vikas Aghadi has actually reached almost 50% of the total votes projected to be polled in the state of Maharashtra, which gives the MVA a big head start, except that one of the most recognizable aspects of that alliance, which is the bow and arrow symbol, now resides with the NDA, which is the BJP, and the Shinde Sena, which is now the real Sena. Now, to talk about what impact this could have on the political arithmetic of the BMC elections, and then the 2024 elections, and then the state assembly elections in the state of Maharashtra, let me go across to Rajdeep Sardesai first, because, you know, symbolism is important. The bow and arrow symbol very deeply entrenched. Now that that rests with Eknath Shinde, at least at this moment, depending on what happens in the Supreme Court, to what extent do you think it could change the calculations which Yashwant Deshmukh did for India today in the January Mood of the Nation poll? Rajdeep.
You know, Rahul, I don't think symbols decide votes. You can go back to 1971, Indira Gandhi, when the Congress was split. She lost the Congress symbol, but she won the election. At the end of the day, it is about which of these senas is best able to connect with its voters. And I think that battle will be fought when there are these 13 municipal corporation elections later this year, when there is a Vidhan Sabha election next year. Yes, this round has been won fairly and squarely by the Shinde faction, and thereby they've got the momentum in terms of using this bow and arrow symbol to claim they are the real Shiv Sena. But the decision as to who the real Shiv Sena is will be taken by the voters. You're already seeing Uddhav Thackeray claiming victim, claiming that in a way this is a conspiracy against the Sena by the centre, using the election commission. So essentially trying to play victim and invoke Maharashtrian self-respect, some kind of Maharashtrian asmita. It may work, it may not work. I think the bigger challenge for the Uddhav Sena now is to change its style of functioning. It's going to have to reach out more aggressively to the Shakha Pramukhs, to the workers, to the cadres than they've done so far. And the other advantage that Eknath Shinde has is that mere paas BJP hai, mere paas center hai. He's got the power and the resources now in a way to encircle the Shiv Sena. He's already, the Uddhav Sena, he's already done it today, taking over the parliamentary office, yesterday the Vidhan Sabha office. But all the real battle will eventually be settled only at election time. And in those numbers, I do believe that if this Maha Vikas Aghadi holds, NCP, Congress and the Uddhav Sena, just the sheer arithmetic of it, and they could consolidate as a result of what's happened, because they will also feel now that today it's the Uddhav Sena, tomorrow it could be one of them. they have a chance to take on the BJP, Shinde Sena, and the BJP knows that. I think the BJP has used Eknath Shinde to break the Uddhav Sena, but his utility, to my mind, is limited in the short run. Beyond the point, I don't think that the BJP will want Eknath Shinde to be seen as the face of this government. So I don't think, picture abhi baki hai, Rahul. And those numbers that you gave, I don't necessarily accept them. I do believe the BJP will do better in a Lok Sabha election than a Vidhan Sabha election. But yes, Maharashtra is one of the states where the arithmetic at the moment may well be with the opposition, even if the BJP is the party number one in the state.
Yashwant Deshmukh, from what Sahil told me when we met in Mumbai, your numbers created quite a stir in Maharashtra's political circles. Now that the bow and arrow symbol lies with the Eknath Shinde Sena, to what extent could that symbolism and the easy recognition of the bow and arrow symbol and the respect and the credibility that comes to the custodian of that symbol impact your political calculations? Rajdeep's view is it's a factor but not a game changer. Is that something you share, or do you think that just the fact that they have the symbol gives them a psychological advantage as being the true inheritors of the legacy of Balasaheb Thackeray?
Very quickly, 3 points, Rahul. I actually agree with Rajdeep that the symbols carry only a limited value as far as the actual game of political capital is concerned on the ground. Please remember, in 1977, in 1980, the Bharatiya Janasangh actually merged with Janata Party, and those two symbols were gone in 1984, and they carried on with the new party symbol and forget about the 2 seats that they won. But Rahul, for all practical matter, Bharatiya Janata Party in 1984 with the new symbol became the second largest party in India after Congress in terms of the vote share. And between 84 and 89, it was only an addition of 2% vote that took them from 2 seats to 84 seats. So, you know, there is only a limitation what political gains a symbol or an old symbol can carry. Rajdeep gave the example of Mrs. Gandhi contesting on a new symbol and winning the election. That is point 1. Very quickly, point number 2, the arithmetic is still in favor of the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi. Many people are upset with me when I say so, but they are unable to understand the logics of this because of a simple reason: they are not analyzing the 2015 Maharashtra Assembly election when the 4 parties contested independently of each other, and that is where the arithmetic lies. Anybody can go back and do the homework on mathematics. I genuinely believe that without the Thackeray family, the supporters of Shiv Sena cannot really think of Shiv Sena as a brand. I genuinely believe that, but I also genuinely believe on the flip side, Rahul, that in the same manner, the genuine Shiv Sainik also cannot think of Shiv Sena as a NCP or a Congress ally. You know, there are 2 huge contradictions here. Shiv Sena without the Thackeray, no-go. Shiv Sena with the Congress is also a huge no-go as far as the basic Shiv Sainik is concerned.
Sahil Joshi, you have your nose on the ground in Maharashtra. Your sense of how big a factor the symbol going to Eknath Shinde is, politically it's being seen as a big victory for Eknath Shinde and the BJP. The opposition says EC works closely with the government, therefore you've got the symbol not on merit but because of partiality. How significant could this decision be in the political electoral context?
Well, Rahul, I would like to club 2 points raised by Rajdeep Sardesai and as well as Yashwant Deshmukh. I would just first cite the arithmetic which Yashwant Deshmukh was mentioning a while back. He mentioned 2014 elections. The arithmetic basically goes, and that is the reason why that mood of the nation survey was talked about a lot in Maharashtra, was that the Congress and NCP together have managed to retain their vote share in 2014 and 2019 elections to 34%, whereas the BJP couldn't grow beyond 27 to 28% in any of the elections, despite either with Shiv Sena or without Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena has managed to retain its vote share from 19 to 20% vote share in Maharashtra, and here is the fight which goes on now, that Shinde, along with the 40 MLAs on its side, almost 14 member of parliaments on its side,
could manage to pull out around 10% of the vote share from Shiv Sena, but Shinde fraction and BJP together manages to get 37 to 38% vote share. It doesn't, it doesn't give them more than 15 to 20 seats, whereas the Congress, NCP and the 10% vote share which Uddhav Thackeray commands takes the Mahavikas Aghadi to 44%, and that brings them a chunk of almost 30 to 35 Lok Sabha seats in Maharashtra. Now with the symbol order, here is the question. Now with the symbol order, I agree with Rajdeep to some extent that symbol makes no difference. As Yashwant has also rightly pointed out, the transformation of BJP, originally Jan Sangh, from deep to that lamp to this lotus, didn't make any difference to their vote share. But here now the situation has changed. The politics has completely changed. There are a lot of people who are fence sitters who might want to go with the symbol, who might want to go with the original name Shiv Sena, because they have lived their political life with the Shiv Sena name, and by Eknath Shinde getting that particular symbol, maybe for the municipal corporation elections, there is a possibility that a lot of corporators who want to recontest the BMC polls may want to go along with Eknath Shinde with the support of BJP. They might think that their chances of getting elected again are more than being with Uddhav Thackeray. So that shift might happen. Whether Uddhav Thackeray manages to stop that particular shift depends, will decide a lot of things. And that is where the matter lies. Uddhav Thackeray right now is trying to create this sympathy that how Eknath Shinde along with the help of BJP snatched Shiv Sena's symbol, Shiv Sena's name. They are out to finish Shiv Sena. And that is what is the narrative he's trying to build up. But the
so
basic
Sahil has an important point. It's called the reason to believe. And it's not just the reason to believe, Rajdeep, of voters. Sahil's argument is it to some extent impacts the reason to believe of the Shiv Sena leader, the potential candidate in the corporation elections, the potential candidate in the assembly elections, that they feel you've got the might of the BJP, you've got the brains of Amit Shah, the charisma of Prime Minister Modi, and you've now got the symbol, and it therefore pushes some of the fence-sitter voters and potentially the fence-sitter leaders from the Uddhav camp into the Shinde camp.
Look, Rahul, the fact is it's a tough road. Let's not underestimate the challenge that Uddhav Thackeray now has to revive his party. The entire system and the machinery in a way is with the Eknath Shinde or the Shiv Sena as they are now called. And that makes it difficult because you need resources to win elections, especially municipal elections. You need resources. What Uddhav Thackeray has is a sense of emotional narrative with him. As Balasaheb Thackeray's son, and I agree with Yashwant, that Thackeray's surname does have an impact, particularly on the core constituency of the Shiv Sena. But remember, it's not just about Mumbai. As you expand into other parts in Thane, for example, where the Eknath Shinde faction is strong, there's a belief that the BJP is unhappy with the fact that Eknath Shinde will dominate them. As you go into rural Maharashtra, there will be parts where Uddhav Thackeray's camp perhaps will be able to gain from its alliance with the NCP. On the other hand, the BJP will find possibly the Eknath Shinde faction a burden. So it's going to change district by district. I think this, in the next 6 to 9 months, which party is able to really connect with its core voters is the key. As I said at the outset, Uddhav Thackeray's camp will have to change their style of functioning. They will have to be seen to be far more robust on the ground.
Okay.
Eknath Shinde has the resources with him, but as we saw finally in the Dussehra rally in October, the Uddhav Thackeray camp was able to strike an emotional chord which was simply lacking with Eknath Shinde. So, emotion with Uddhav Thackeray, resources with Eknath Shinde.
O.P. Rawat, you've been the Chief Election Commissioner of India. On the basis of your experience, do you think the current Election Commission has done the right thing by giving the Shiv Sena symbol to the Eknath Shinde camp? What do you think is most likely to happen in the Supreme Court?
Honorable Supreme Court has accepted the petition for hearing, and therefore it will be preposterous to comment whether it is right or wrong. But going through the decision of the Election Commission on allocation of bow and arrow symbol to Eknath Shinde faction, I find that whatever evidence, whatever facts have been mentioned in that order, it appears that they have followed the Supreme Court ruling in Sadiq Ali case. They have non-conclusive, and therefore they had relied on legislative majority Shinde group, and therefore they have decided in his favor.
So let me just pause you for a moment to tell our viewers about what happened in 1971. In that Supreme Court judgment which O.P. Rawat just mentioned, the Sadiq Ali versus the Election Commission of India case, in this what the Supreme Court decided is, if there is a dispute amongst groups of political parties, the test of majority support amongst the members of the organizational and legislature wings of the party would decide who wins that dispute. So whoever has more members of the legislature wing, which is your MLAs, your MPs, and the organizational wing, is the one who carries the day. Rajdeep, you've been speaking to lots of lawyers, politicians in Maharashtra. Is that their sense as well? As O.P. Rawat says, they've gone by what happened in the Sadiq Ali case in 1971, or are they expecting that there could be twist in the tail in the Supreme Court?
No, I think, look, the law is pretty much clear if we went by the Sadiq Ali case, that also it gives the Election Commission the power to decide on these cases. The only little ticklish problem here is that there is already a matter being heard in the Supreme Court on the entire defections and the manner they took place, on the legality of that. Did the Election Commission jump the gun? Should they have waited before pronouncing their verdict? Could they have frozen the symbol and waited till the Supreme Court decided on the defection case? I think that's the one slight difference between what's happened now and what's happened.
How do you respond to that, Mr. Rawat? That wait till the Supreme Court decides on the manner in which these defections took place, and if that was right or was that void, and that's the difference between Sadiq Ali and the current situation.
Actually, that is the case whenever there is any division of a political party, and therefore, and these two proceedings are two different proceedings under different laws, different systems. Defection is under 10th schedule of the Constitution, and it is a matter for the courts to decide. Whereas allocation of symbol, that is under symbol allocation order of 1968 of Election Commission, and that is simply for allocation of symbol and party name. So these two proceedings are entirely different.
Sahil, your take on this, interesting. One perspective put out by the Election Commissioner is that this is only on the issue of who gets the symbol. The other is Rajdeep's take that there is already a matter in the Supreme Court which should have been concluded before the symbol was given to the Eknath Shinde. Where do you come out on this?
Well, people were completely shocked by what Election Commission decided, because everyone was expecting that Election Commission will duly freeze the symbol, which originally happened in the Congress's case. The Sadiq Ali judgment came after both the fraction contested election in 1971, and after that the Sadiq Ali judgment came in. Also, the basic difference between the situation then and situation now is that now there is an existence of anti-defection law which was not there in 1972 when the Sadiq Ali judgment came in. Now, I spoke to a lot of people, specifically from the Uddhav Thackeray camp. They are raising this issue that how come suddenly Election Commission have started deciding the fate of a political party on whose side more number of elected MLAs or MPs are on, whereas that should be decided on the floor of the House, in the Assembly or in the Parliament using the anti-defection law in the 10th schedule in the Constitution. Second important part in the Election Commission order was with respect to the constitution of the party, that is constitution of Shiv Sena, and the Election Commission says that the amendments in the constitution of Shiv Sena, which gave immense power to the party president, that is Uddhav Thackeray, those amendments were against the Election Commission's guiding principles of a political party, and that is why the party membership, the party office bearers, on whose side they are on, cannot be considered, and that is where the matter lies, and that is where the Uddhav Thackeray camp thinks that the Election Commission's order.
Priyanka Chaturvedi, your party's case comes up before the Supreme Court tomorrow. At this moment, one argument seems to suggest that the EC has done the right thing. Eknath Shinde, Sena had more MLAs, they had more MPs, and therefore they've gone by law and they've granted the symbol to the Eknath Shinde Sena. How hopeful are you that the Supreme Court could possibly come to your rescue?
Okay, step one, we are not asking for election commission to be disbanded. What we're saying is the election of the commissioner, the chairperson of election commission, should be done via a collegium. Because right now, Supreme Court is also hearing a case where a bureaucrat takes voluntary retirement from services and within 24 hours is appointed as the election committee chairperson. So that what Uddhav Thackeray ji said was, this is not a transparent way of working. It has to be through a collegium-like system, or a system needs to be created where election parties, all of them, political parties are on board to decide who will be the person who's best suited in that role. Now, second part about the Supreme Court, whether Supreme Court agrees with our arguments or disagrees with our arguments would only be known once the verdict is out and whatever decision they take. However, it gives us that opportunity. Every citizen of this country has the opportunity to take their case and have their case heard in the apex court of India. And that is what we're doing as a political party, where we see how other agencies were undermined, have continued to be undermined, whether it's the Enforcement Directorate, whether it's the IT, CBI, which were used to create a split in the political party, Shiv Sena, and now using the Election Commission to give it a stamp of approval and hand over the entire political party, its symbol and its identity to people who actually went against the political party. So this is unheard of India's history. So I'm very certain that Supreme Court will ensure and uphold constitutional morality and democratic principles of this country and take a call on it. And
the Election Commission went through multiple deliberations, hearings, and they seem to have followed the principle of the test of majority, which goes back to the 1971 Sadiq Ali judgment, which we were just discussing, which is that the Eknath Shinde Sena had more MLAs and MPs, and therefore at this moment they are the natural inheritors of the symbol.
So in the Sadiq Ali case also, there are three tests of majority. You cannot cherry pick which test of majority you want. And the 3 points here. One, the legislative majority. Let's remember, this legislative majority was derived by using ED, IT, CBI, money, whatever, to lure elected representatives of our party to break away from the party. Second, these very MLAs who have left the organization, who've gone against the party, their case is already being heard. Their disqualification case is still being heard in the Supreme Court, and they haven't reached a logical conclusion. That case started in the month of June. Now, the Shinde faction went to the Election Commission only in the month of July end, if I'm not mistaken. So even going by that test of majority, it's a flawed idea to hand over them on the basis of test of majority when all these MLAs on the basis of which you decide the majority stand to be disqualified once the Supreme Court hearing is over. So considering the matter is sub judice, how did Election Commission reach their goal, reach the idea and belief that they have a legislative strength? Secondly, the 10th schedule of the Constitution categorically says a political party is much larger than its legislative members. It constitutes an organization, it constitutes office bearers of the organization, and how these office bearers of the organization lead to, handing over political party symbol and ticket to a candidate. So if you look at the organization strength, which again they have cherry-picked, they have overlooked, over 20 lakh primary members affidavits in support of Uddhav Thackeray was submitted to the Election Commission. Over 4 lakh office bearers of Shiv Sena who are in support of Uddhav Thackeray ji have been submitted to the Election Commission. And we have about 220 national executive office bearers. They, out of that, 160 odd are on our side, while they have 11 affidavits that they have submitted totally are 4 lakh. So even if you look at the organization strength, if you look at our party strength in the Legislative Council, all the MLCs are on our side. In the Rajya Sabha, all 3 Rajya Sabha MPs are on Uddhav Thackeray ji's side. In the Lok Sabha, 6 out of the 18 are on our side. And in the Assembly, 15 out of the other candidates are on our side. So it's not like it's a one-way street. You'll have to, when you talk about majority, you'll have to look at a political system as a whole, political party as a whole. Otherwise, if you're just looking at legislative strength, so next time, you should do away with political parties itself. You should give symbols to everyone who wants to contest an election, and then you can auction all the MLAs who are the winning MLAs. And considering Bharatiya Janata Party is the richest party, instead of going about it in a roundabout manner, they can bid for their MLAs
No,
of
so
their
your
choice.
party's
And will
offices
get a
in
majority.
Parliament and in the Maharashtra Assembly have already been handed over to the Eknath Shinde camp. Are you concerned now that the Sena Bhavan could also be taken away from you, and the Shakhas, which is really the root structure of the Shiv Sena political edifice, that could also at some point in time soon be handed over to the Shinde wing?
It is not for the Election Commission to decide the offices, the bank accounts, etc. It is for this Election Commission to play fair and make its judgment on the basis of the Constitution. It is surprising that Lok Janshakti Party, which saw a similar split in 2021, their case is still being heard by the Election Commission and has not reached a logical conclusion. While Election Commission in its hurry, because of a preconceived judgment, they came with a post-factor reasoning, is pretty, has a lot of loopholes. So whatever it is, we are willing to fight this out. And let me remind you that in the month of October, when we went into a by-election, Eknath Shinde faction had gone to the Election Commission to decide on the party symbol. That is when the party symbol was frozen and party symbol was handed over to, different symbols were given to us. So we fought under a new name and we fought under a new symbol. We won with a larger majority than we had won in 2019. So overwhelming support of the people is with us. We are willing to fight this out. Every single party worker is willing to fight this out from the beginning. However, the consequences of this kind of election...
Shweta Shalini from the BJP, are you concerned that the sympathy factor could weigh in the favor of the Uddhav Thackeray Sena and all those who support him, that here is the son of Balasaheb Thackeray, the symbols been snatched away by the BJP because the EC is working in close tandem with the BJP, and therefore, as Rajdeep was saying earlier, Uddhav Thackeray gets to play the role of a martyr and potentially benefits from that projection politically?
Thank you, Rahulji. I thought you forgot that I was on the panel. Nonetheless, to start with, I would like to say the great Shakespeare had once said that what's in a name? And today I heard the great Rajdeep Sardesai ji saying what's in a symbol. So I think I completely agree with him. That's one of the reasons why I think Sharad Pawar ji also turned around and gave the advice to Uddhav ji as to not to go into the Supreme Court. But yes, I firmly believe that if he's so confident, why? Because of the advisors that he is in this position, he must hire Rajdeep ji, or probably Sahil also seems to be a good advisor. Secondly, coming to your question, see, the spirit of true democracy lies in the rejection of inheritance, and it is exactly this what has actually happened. In Shiv Sena, Balasaheb had once said that Shiv Sainik ahet manun Shiv Sena ahe, which means it is because of the Shiv Sena remains. And if you actually look at the calculation that Election Commission has done, 76% of the votes that came in the Vidhan Sabha election, in the assembly elections, lies with the just about 26% lies with the Uddhav faction. If you look at the Lok Sabha numbers, it remains almost the same, with 73% vote which remained with Shinde faction. Now, coming to the larger political strategy and the sympathy and the things that the entire panel has been discussing. See, if you actually look at Maharashtra historically, it has always elected its government on some or the other narrative. Whether if you look at Balasaheb times, it could be the South Indian or the North Indian or whatever sentiment. But the major Hindutva sentiment is what is going to lie ahead of time.
Okay, so you make an important point. Let me put that question to Yashwant Deshmukh. Yashwant, Shweta's argument about the Hindutva narrative.
We should answer Shweta Shalini on two points. Rahul, we should answer.
Go on,
we should answer Shweta Shalini on 2 points. I think she's making very personal remarks. She's making very personal remarks, and we have to, as a journalist, we have to take objections to that. She cannot make personal remarks like this. We are trying to make conversation about what is the real position on the ground. I definitely said that there are the fence sitters who may
So
switch
I
over
gave you a compliment,
to
Saiji.
Shinde
I
camp
said
with
you
that.
must
And
be an
I was just
advisor.
Okay, this is pointless. You know, we had a good, sensible conversation so far. This just takes us down into the pit, which is where I don't want to go. Let's have a sensible conversation because there are important factors at play. Yashwant Deshmukh, Shweta's core argument is about Hindutva and about how in the 2024 elections there could be a polarization like we saw in 2019 around nationalism, Hindutva, the image of the Prime Minister, where some of your numbers which are done at this moment, which seem to focus more on the arithmetic, could just be upturned by chemistry.
Well, she is right to some part. It's kind of a Ardha Satya. I mean, there is a Satya in that yes, Shiv Sena core vote is for Hindutva, no doubt about that. But Shiv Sena core vote is also emotionally attached with the Thackeray family. That is a hard truth. Only thing is that probably the way politically I look at it, Rahul, that outside the family thing, the Shiv Sena vote outside Mumbai region might go away with because like you mentioned about Thane, it's a Eknath Shinde territory. Forget about Shiv Sena, even BJP will be finding it difficult that they will have to play a junior role in Thane and surrounding areas. Having said that, I think the Thackeray family's emotional appeal will work more in the Mumbai region, but I genuinely feel that outside Mumbai region, the average Shiv Sainik would probably not like to go with the alliance of the Congress and NCP. It's an unnatural alliance.
Okay. Shweta has a hand up. I'm out of time, so I'm going to give you 20 seconds to make a final observation before I conclude. Shweta Shalvi.
I think one of the immediate points need to be that we need to be looking at what is going to be the future of Priyanka Chaturvedi, Sanjay Raut and Aditya Thackeray because of the recent election commission guidelines. But nonetheless, having said that, you also need to see the bypolls that is happening in Pune. The three fractions that you have been talking about and talking about the arithmetic are fighting against and you will see that the Rashtrawadi Congress and the Shiv Sena are fighting in front of each other in the Pimpri-Chinchwad bypoll.
We'll wait to see what happens in the Supreme Court. Will the Supreme Court side with the Election Commission? Will it take a contra position? We'll look at that and get you the details as the hearing goes on in the court.